go. There we go. Okay. So I'm on YouTube and Instagram. My TikTok has not TikTok. Facebook's locked me out. So I had to send them my driver's license and everything. So we'll see if they let me back in the next day or two. But anyway. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. So yeah, sorry, I couldn't do Facebook because sometimes people go from Facebook to Instagram, TikTok with me on these lives, but I'm locked out of my Facebook. But my daughter, who does all my social media, she can still get access to my Facebook, but I can't. Go figure. Anyway, they got my driver's license now, so let's see. Okay, let's get on with your parenting questions as soon as I finish introducing myself. My name's Lisa. If you're new here, I'm a parenting coach, and I'm just here answering questions Tuesdays and Thursdays and most other days, but it's not a regularly scheduled one except on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And if you look at the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching, so if you look in there, you'll see you can sign up for the wait list. Okay, so let's get going. Thank you for your potty training advice. It has helped out so much. Excellent. You must have bought my course, my potty training course. I don't give a lot of potty training advice on here, except maybe the pooping, why they don't poop on the toilet, because that's a whole system, like it's actually a mini course. So, okay, let's get going. Oh, okay. Well, someone just asked me, how do I get my 2.5-year-old to go potty? Check out my potty training course. It's a whole system. I had a party. It was just me and my kids. It was a messy party, but it works. And anyway, it's I think I trained my son in 1 day, my daughter in 2 days. I was already kind of a leader, but so they kind of listened to me. But it's a good way to start exercising your new leadership skills if you're just learning all this stuff. So I teach leadership. So anyway, so check out the potty party. It's all done in a positive way. They have an accident. Oh, well, mommy pees on the floor too. Really? Oh, yeah. There's no shaming in it. Okay. Daughter had explosive tantrums where she gets in my face and screams nonstop. How do I stop? Oh, I don't know. How old is she? 16, 6, 2? You have to put an age. Okay. And now you're going to put the whole question plus the age because I won't know what you asked me if you just put the age. I love your approach of ignoring temper tantrums, but I sometimes worry my daughter will feel like I don't care about her feelings if I ignore her crying. Okay, that temper tantrums are a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. There's not a lot of feelings in there. It's just anger at not getting their own way. You do not need to validate that, okay? Some of my clients are child psychologists, and they will argue this with me. They'll say, well, you should always validate all their feelings. And I say, that's ridiculous. Why on earth do you need to validate the fact that they're just having a fit because they didn't get what they wanted? You don't need to validate absolutely every single thought they have. They don't feel unloved when you ignore a tantrum so long as you're meeting their needs otherwise. You meet their needs and manage their wants. Their wants are in the tantrums are in the wants department, not in the needs department, okay? So, yeah. If you give a lot of attention to a tantrum, you're actually saying good tantrum, good tantrum. Any attention is tantrum food. You're fertilizing it if you're giving them attention during a tantrum. I would never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There's no point. If you can come up with a point and why you would, you can give it a go, but I'll disagree with you. It's just no point. Okay. Can you explain what happens and how to use the behavior board if they don't listen multiple times a day? Okay, so what this person's asking, they obviously got my behavior board and you put a rule and a consequence for everybody, the parents included. So let's say they keep breaking the same rule over and over and over again all day long. You bundle them up and say, look, today was a bad day, 24-hour media blackout. So what you're doing is you're going straight to the second consequence, okay? And then if they keep doing that same thing, then they're already in the discipline and they are learning. So you just say, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. I might say that once or twice. How can I be a leader when I work full time? Daughters too, so far so good, but I know the harder times are coming. Okay, well, it does take time to be a leader, but it doesn't need to be full time. So I would say the vast majority of clients that I coach work full time, both parents. So you still have the mornings and the night, right? So you can still get leadership with bedtime, doing homework, mealtime, play. You have to play with them. If you're not playing with your kids, you can't be a leader. You're just an authority. So yeah, you got to play with your kids, connect with them, bond with them. It doesn't mean you have to do it full time. So I'm going to skip ahead to make sure people, oh my goodness, there's a lot I missed. Okay. Can you explain how the behavior board works? Yeah, you do one behavior board per week, and there's a rule and a consequence for every member of the family, 3 and over. And so one rule per week for everybody, and then also consequence for everybody. For the kids, there's 2 consequences. There's a positive action, which is what you start with. So if they break the rule, then they have to sweep the floor or something. That's the positive action. If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. So that's why there's 2 consequences for the kids. If you break the rule, you have to sweep the floor. If they won't, and you put it in a time limit within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. If they won't do that, then you go to 24-hour media blackout. You take something away. It's hard to get them to do something. I would rather them do a positive consequence, but if they won't do it, then you take something away. So, and then the next week you have a new behavior board, new rules, consequences for everybody. And then the third week you have 3 of them. That's as far as you go. And then the boot camp course goes into what you do after that. Because like I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool. It teaches you how to start doing this. I invented all this stuff, and there's no freaking way I want a kid looking at a board. I want them looking right at me. But when you're learning how to do this, that board is a wonderful tool because it kind of takes some of the pressure off you, makes it a little bit easier. You go from the board to the kid to the board to the kid, and you know what I mean? It makes it a little bit easier. You got something else to blame, whereas I want them looking right at me. But while you're learning, you don't do that. We go off the board in the boot camp course. You might want to check that out. Can I put more than one thing on the behavior board? Nope. One per week. My 3-year-old hurts his sister, says no, says mean things. Well, you can't put down say no. That's in the attitude department. So yeah, just say no hurting other people. That's what I would start with. You can't put everything down. You can try, but it's not going to work. Okay. You got to start with one thing at a time. One thing. And then if that's going well, the second week, you do 2 things. Now, when I say it's going well, it doesn't mean that they're not breaking the rule. It means that you're following through with the behavior board. Okay. You're making the behavior board work. They might still be breaking the rule, but you're imposing the consequences effectively and making it happen. So. I saw my granddaughter today. I went out and saw her, and I took, the mom out for lunch with her, and we thought, geez, what's she going to be like in a restaurant? She's 5 months old, and she just sat there perfectly. We couldn't believe it. Like, it's not like she's a difficult baby, but for to expect a 5-month-old just to sit there, she fights naps. So she's not a great napper. So she really should have had a sleep. She didn't have much of a sleep or anything. And she just sat there the whole time. We were just like, wow, this is great. It's so much fun. I love being a grandmother. 2-year-old hits himself in the head when he doesn't get his own way. Just physically restrain him. Every time he does, say no, and then you physically restrain him from hurting themselves. You stop them from hurting themselves, other people, or damaging property. Okay, but you don't talk to them. You just say no, and you just hold his hand so he can't hit his head. Let go. If he starts again, grab it. So yeah, you just got to physically restrain when they get violent. This is going to sound so stupid, but people don't tend to disagree with me much anymore. And you know, I love that. Like if I say something you don't like, I would love to be challenged. Because I've been doing this. I'm 63. I've been doing this stuff for decades, and I would love to be challenged. Yeah, I don't know why. I miss that. So if you ever disagree with something, let it fly. Let me know. Oh, 5 years old. Okay, so what would you do if a child is having trouble listening to directions? He's 5 years old. He does not have trouble listening to directions. You have trouble getting respect. It's you. Work on your leadership skills and he will listen. It's just the way it is. It's never the kid, it's you. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is 100% a direct result of your parenting. So work on your leadership skills. He just doesn't respect you. That's all that says. That's a tell. It means he doesn't respect you. By the way, ADHD is not a disability. It just means it takes a little bit more patience. That's all. ADHD, I think people kind of use that as a get out of jail free card. Well, there's nothing I can do. He's got ADHD. That's why he's out of control. No, it's not. It's because you're not a leader. All the kids I worked with had ADHD. It was very rare that I got a kid that didn't have it because I worked with all the difficult kids, the ones that were more challenging, right? So why on earth would they ask me to work with an easy kid? No one ever said to me, here's an easy one, Lisa. They all went, good luck with this one. Like, it was always the disruptive kids I was working with, and they almost all had ADHD. So that's where this works with. That's where I learned all this. My own kids didn't have it. They were a piece of cake compared to most of the kids I worked with. Plus, I got them when they were little. I got respect when they were tiny and kind of sailed right through the teen years. Maintaining respect is easy. Getting it is hard work. But you got to earn it. It's not just going to happen. Everyone wants to fix their kids. They're not broken. Your leadership is missing. That's all this means. Work on your leadership. Everyone wants to blame their kids for their behavior. Would you rather blame yourself than your kids? Why is everyone so quick to blame their kids but not themselves and not take ownership of their kids' behavior? I find that fascinating. I really find that fascinating. Why would you blame your kids for their bad behavior and not you? Why would you not take responsibility for that? Think about it. Think about it. I managed to get respect with all the kids, teenagers, toddlers I worked with. Was it them or me? Yeah, just think about that. Sit on that. You've probably left by now. That's okay. All right. I got to say what I got to say. I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to get my point across and to help you. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. I had a blast. I could just relax and be goofy and have fun as a mother because I got all that respect when they were little, and it was mutual. I messed up. Boy, oh boy, did they love it when mom messed up too. So yeah, I was very accountable. Mom, you said you were going to do that and you forgot to do it. I'd say, oh shoot, what do you want? We'd love to go to the water slide park tomorrow after school. Say, fine, I'll bring your suits. So yeah, I was accountable. That's what a leader is. A leader leads by example, not by demanding or command, or you command respect, but it's not by demanding it. So yeah. It is different for parents versus other adults though, isn't it? Not necessarily. You know how I know that? Because lots of times other people had been trying to work with these same kids, but weren't able to get respect. Okay. And lots of people can't get respect with their own kids. And I still managed to do that with my own kids. So yeah, it leadership kind of trumps everything. It just does. Oh God, I was sweating. Sorry. I get undermined by my support systems. How can I manage this? The only recommendation I ever give people is if you've got, like, let's say an in-law who is undermining your authority, I would say, when you undermine my parenting, it hurts my feelings. If they don't respect that, there's no hope for them. Period. Period. Means they're not very nice people. And I can't help you with that. You can't fix their personalities. Okay. If they do not respond to hurting your feelings, then I can't help you. That's all I would say to them. Hurts my feelings. I'd be devastated if my daughter-in-law said that. I'd be devastated. If she said I was hurting her feelings, by the way, she's a phenomenal mother. So. Okay. What's the number one way of getting respect in your view? I feel fair and calm, but the 4-year-old is on fire lately. Yeah, being calm and fair, it's a package. You got to put it all together. You might want to check out my boot camp course. It's a whole methodology. You can't just, it's like dieting. You can't just say, well, I know how to eat a really healthy salad and then go out and buy a bag of potato chips. Like you can't just get some things right. You kind of have to set the whole package up. You got to play with them. You got to be consistent. You've got to have rules. Start small, few rules. You start with 1, then 2, then 3 in the first 3 weeks. Then after that, you address everything. Week 4, you do in the moment discipline. You start addressing everything. But you've already learned how to do this. And you've already got some respect. But yeah, you can't just do some things right without getting the whole thing sort of sorted out. Yeah, check out the boot camp course. It's in the link above. Everything I have is in the link above. Is it too late to start with an 11-year-old? I specialize in teenagers. I started my business doing crisis work with teenagers. So if it's not too late for a 16-year-old, it's not too late for an 11-year-old. It's harder though. The older they get, the harder it is because you've had 11 years to get where you are. So it's not going to happen overnight. And when you finish, like let's say you were going to get the boot camp course, that goes for 5 weeks. The work doesn't end there. It's usually 3 to 6 months because we're developing a different side of your personality. We're setting you up as a leader. That doesn't happen in just 5 weeks because you're changing your personality basically as a parent. Do you save your live for rewatching? Yeah, it's saved on YouTube. And by the way, I've been kicked out of Facebook. I don't know why. They won't let me in. They asked for my driver's license and everything. They have blocked me. I don't know why. But my daughter does all my social media and she can get into my Facebook. I can't. So I can't do my lives on Facebook right now. I don't know why. Why is she allowed to get in, but I'm not? So they haven't blocked my whole account. They've just kicked me out. All my devices. I've got four or five devices. They're all blocked. Isn't that weird? They got my driver's license now. They should let me back in. We'll see. Anyway, so yeah, all my lives are saved on YouTube. And then I go from Facebook when I can get on there to Instagram to TikTok. But then they're all saved on YouTube. How should I respond when my 11-year-old says no to a request I've asked her to do? It'd be easier if you could tell me what you asked her to do. But if she says no, just say, well, that's fine. And then if it's something that she has to do, like, like say if she says no to, I don't know, putting her dishes in the dishwasher or something. But you shouldn't have to, if you have to remind, I don't remind kids. I don't micromanage kids. Certainly an 11-year-old. You sort of lay down the rules. Hey, the rule is you have to put your dishes in the dishwasher. If you don't, you'll be putting everyone's dishes in the dishwasher. If she won't do that, then you take her devices away for 24 hours. So yeah, there's a consequence. We all learn through consequences. That's why I never really told my kids what to do. They just knew if they didn't do the right thing, there'd be a consequence. So yeah. This sort of stuff was absolutely not modeled in my childhood home. Every parent does the best they know how, not necessarily the best they can, but the best they know how. No one's handed a baby in the hospital and goes, I'm going to mess you up. Everyone does the best they know how. And a lot of my clients, they talk about I'm not a therapist. Therapists focus on the past. Coaches focused on the future. So I'm always focused on the future. But oftentimes we need to get past, because sometimes I'll say, I can just see a client is blocked. There's something going on there. And I'll say, how are you parented? Often they'll break down crying and they'll say, I was yelled at, this and that. And then I always say, look, you're not your parents. You can change that pattern, right? And they're often yelling themselves and they feel bad because it's almost like they're yelling because they feel they have to because their parents yell. That's what they learned. But I say, no, you can change that. It doesn't have to be genetic. You don't have to follow it down, in the hierarchy. So, but I always say, your parents did the best they knew how. Yes. Okay. Do you have your course in a printable version? No, I don't. I can't always use my phone or do your course things. Yeah, no, I don't. It's not printable. My course is videos and written online. It's an online course. So yeah, it's not printable. Make sure you put the age when you're asking a question. I'll just skip through if you don't. Okay. Oh, Blair Fraser on YouTube said, do you believe in the naughty corner? I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I think it's humiliating. A naughty corner, like they just feel like crap there. All you're doing is teaching a child how to feel like crap about themselves when you do that. It's extremely humiliating. Imagine if you made a mistake at work and there was a naughty corner for you. It's the exact same feeling. They just can't articulate that shame, that humiliation. Yeah. And then you'll say to them, now you think about what you did. They're not. They're sitting there feeling like garbage about themselves. I can't stand it. So just keep watching and I'm teaching you what else to do. Okay. But yeah, I hate timeout. Can't stand it. Okay. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you enter their world to connect with them. You don't go to the nail salon with a 2-year-old. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. When you get good at entering their world, like what they're doing, you watch and then you join in. They just start to look at you differently. Okay, there's a connection there. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions. They won't learn the first 10 or 20 times. They'll probably learn the 50th time. And they might even regress because they don't tend to stop and think before they act. Toddlers know right from wrong. They just can't always handle the impulse control, but they will learn through knee-jerk reaction when you use consistent corrective actions. Okay. And don't do these many therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That's garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It has nothing to do with the toddler. That is all for the mom. It's just ridiculous. Okay. Toddlers are not about words, and they certainly aren't about therapy sessions. Okay. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Okay. They're all brand new. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and the first year you were a potato laying on a mattress. So, yeah, they're crazy. Well, I always call them crazy. They just haven't developed sanity yet. Okay. They're new, brand new. Give boundaries or let them go. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. I'll do no crap advice. Yeah, I don't have, my mouth and my head don't have a relationship. I have no filtering system. Whatever's in here flies out there. My daughter has a system between the two. So she might have a thought like I do, but it always comes out so lovely. We couldn't be more different. She's always thinks before she says stuff. I don't have that. It can be good and bad. How to deal with 4-year-old twins always whining for everything. Whining is a learned behavior. It means it's worked in the past for sure. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. So it means it worked. It means that you feed it. It means you must give it attention. So as soon as I would correct them and say, if you say it like this, I want that. You say, I won't even answer you. If you say, may I please have, I will answer you, but the answer may still be no, but I will answer you. So then every time they whine, have a signal. And if they whine, you go like this or something. Remember that Ross thing from Friends? So just have a signal to show. I wouldn't keep saying no whining. I would just go like that and then walk away. Remember Ross? And that was from Friends. I love that. Ross was my favorite. I never laughed at anybody else but Ross. I thought he was hilarious. Okay, I have 13, 12, 9, and 3. And my big kids fight a fair amount. How do you help them bond more instead of competing with one another? I don't know what kind of parent you are, so I wouldn't even know what to correct and what to approve and what to get rid of and stuff like that. If you want to, that would more be coaching, I would say. If you want to look into coaching, I do have a big wait list right now, but I am taking new clients on this week. But yeah, you can get on that wait list if you're interested in coaching. And I would have to figure it out. What kind of parent are you? What's the history? What sex are they? Are they girls, boys? When did they start fighting? What do they fight about? Then we'd have to get a plan and actions, get to work on it. Said my 4-year-old stopped following directions, even with a consequence. Okay, that just says she doesn't respect you, or he doesn't respect you. She. Check out my boot camp course. That teaches you how to be a leader. Everyone wants to fix their kids. We don't fix kids. We teach parents here. You lead, they will follow. Everyone's blaming their kids for their behavior. Their behavior's on you, not on them. They're just doing what you've taught them to do. Okay. So by putting up with it or by dealing with it wrong. So yeah, check out my boot camp course. It's all about you and your leadership. It's all about you. Isn't that good news though? Wouldn't you rather be able to fix yourself rather than trying to fix someone else? It's all about you. You lead, they will follow. It's just the way it is. They'll look up to you. They want to please you when you get to be a good leader. You're like a mentor. You're fun. You make them feel good about themselves. Look up my very first video on here is called Example of Leadership Parenting. It's the pool story. It exemplifies, it's a true story. It exemplifies how I look at leadership with kids. It just says it. It says it all. So check out that video after we're done here. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're here when I answer the question. I love this philosophy, hard to hear, but makes sense. Yeah, you know what? A lot of stuff that's worth hearing is hard to hear. It's true. I have stuff like that in my life too. And I'm like, ooh, that hurt. But I listen to it because I always want to grow and improve. I'm a learner. I love it. Like I love this style myself. So they always say you treat other people the way you want to be treated. If I want to learn something, I want to get the goods. I want to get it straight. I don't want anyone coddling me. And I hate all that stuff. I hate that phony garbage. I want you to just tell me what I need to hear. So that's what I do. It's how I learn. So it's how I teach. I have to be a little bit nicer in coaching, I'll admit. Sometimes I get some really fragile parents who are going through a lot. like emotionally fragile. They might have been through some abuse or some trauma. So that's different, right? But generally I just says it like it is. And I do sometimes cry in coaching. I remember years ago, someone said to me, the best advice I ever got was to never show emotion when you're coaching someone. That's stupid. I do get emotional. I do get caught up in it. I laugh, I cry. I mean, coaching it's personal, right? So yeah, I'm not a robot. I thought that was really stupid advice. I didn't tell them that at the time, but I didn't listen to it. Okay. Oh, I don't let anyone on my lives. I only did it once a couple of years ago. I started doing lives on TikTok every single day 2 years ago. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just started doing them. And so yeah, I had, oh geez, I think that was the one I had like 20,000 people in the live. And they used to be bigger because when you first go live, everyone turns up and then they realize, oh, heard that before. A lot of it's repetitive. Anyway, so she came on and she started talking about her business. I just let them in and they started talking about their business. They wanted my audience. I was horrified. I didn't know how to get rid of them. I was trying to get rid of them. So yeah, and ever since I've never let anyone else on because I'm here to answer your questions, not to have someone else come in here and try and take over my audience. I'll tell you, I could never have done that. I thought that was so rude. Yeah, I'll get into my question, but I think people would like to know who I am. No, they don't want to know who you are. They don't want to know about your business. Where can I find your behavior board? The behavior board's in the link above. Everything I have is in the link above. The behavior board's completely free. I have 4 toddler courses. They're my mini ones. Tantrum, bedtime, kids who hit. Sugar, what the heck's the other one? Bedtime. Potty training. And then I have my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. That's all about you. It teaches you how to be a leader in 5 weeks. Doesn't mean that the work stops then, but it teaches you pretty much all you need to know to get a really healthy start on all this stuff. I've got a client right now. Same with the boot camp course is sort of designed around my coaching, which is 5 sessions, and I pace it all out. It's sort of similar. In coaching, it's different. We do things quite differently because I get to know them, right? It's more personal. Anyway, I have someone in coaching right now, but she's been watching me for 2 years, so she already had a head start. And she, on her second session, I said, you just get it. So we've banked her other sessions. I may hear from her in a year or so. I just said, we'll just bank them when you need me because stuff will come up. Your kid might get bullied or something like that. But yeah, session 2, she just got it. That's rare. It's usually 3 or 4 they start to get it. But she just said, yeah, I get it. I just get it. It's a switch in your personality because I'm not a leader in my personal life, but I am with kids. It's a switch in how you deal with children. It's a whole part of your brain that you've got to ignite. And just understand leadership is kindness with children. They need, crave, and want a leader. If you're not a leader for your children, and because a leader is a safe place to land, it makes them feel safe and looked after and cared for. It just does. They all need it. They all crave it. They all want it. They just don't know how to ask for it. But trust me, they want it. When they're acting out, they're asking for it. If you send your child out in the world and you're not a leader, they're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea. They're going to go searching for a leader elsewhere because it's a basic need in a child to have a leader. So you want to be that leader for them. LOL to the kid who sings before bed. That reminds me, when I was a baby, I wasn't a crier and I didn't have tantrums. But Mom said, you know how I told them I was awake? They weren't coming right away. I guess I was just sitting there probably talking to myself. I would have been about 1. And she goes, you would go like this. They would wait because they love to hear this. And they would wait in the other room and they'd just listen. And I'd go, ah. And then I'd wait. And then, ah. And I kept getting louder and louder. Finally, they'd come in. I can sort of remember my parents laughing when they came into my room in the morning. And I'm sure that was probably because of that. So isn't that hilarious? But I was like, hello. And I remember being very little. My daughter was the same. We never had tantrums and we were proud, like we were kind of born old. And I can remember not wanting to cry because I remember thinking that would be humiliating. Like how embarrassing to have a tantrum or cry. I can remember thinking that. I was really little and I can remember thinking, oh, how embarrassing. And I'd watch other kids having a tantrum and I'd think, how embarrassing. And my daughter was the same. I could see her looking at other kids, whereas my son would just have a tantrum and let it fly. Could have cared less how we looked. But it's funny how we're different. We're just born certain ways, right? Like I always say, my daughter and I were born old. We were both worriers, to this day, we're kind of worriers. Yeah, it's just a personality trait. A 2-year-old shouts no, even though she does what I tell her to. So I just let it go. Clean up after yourself. No. I don't think they understand the word no. Okay. Genuinely asking, what do you mean by being a leader to your child to gain respect for the mom? Well, any parent can be a leader, but a leader, you guide them into making good choices. You want them to be self-disciplining. You're not a dictator. You're not an authority. You're not a micromanager. You want to guide them into making good choices, because if they make a bad one, you come along with a consequence. Like I would have said to my kids, I used to say to my kids, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of that, because that's my job. I'm your mom. So I made sure that if they made a poor choice, there was a consequence. There was no anger. It was just, yeah, well, you shouldn't have done that. So how about you sweep the floor? Okay, that was it. That was all I did. So they just learned to make good choices. Like I have no memory of ever telling my kids to go to bed or do their homework or get ready for school. They just did it. There was none of this. There was no tension, because they knew if they didn't, I'd say, oh, that wasn't cool. I think you're going to help me put out the laundry tomorrow night or whatever. I always had a consequence, but it was no big deal. So leaders guide them into making good choices. It increases their self-esteem. They feel good about themselves. They like themselves when they're with you. Therefore, they look up to you and they want to please you. Okay. Look up the very first video on this channel. It's called Example of Leadership Parenting. It explains this all in a nutshell. It's a true story. Anyway, it's the very first video on here. I'm going over to TikTok now. If you want to join me there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, where you can look into coaching. I have a wait list for coaching. You'll see that when you go on there. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining me. And I'm heading over to TikTok. I'm on YouTube the whole time. Facebook shut me out right now, so I couldn't do Facebook tonight. Take care. Bye now. Example of consequences for 3 and 6-year-olds. Just go on my behavior board. It's in the link in the description on YouTube here. Go in there and don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's just the fact that there is one. And it's usually a chore, just something that they don't like doing. And it's just doing a good deed. You made a poor choice. Now you do a good deed. So, and then the second consequence, but look in the behavior board. It explains all that. I've only got so much bandwidth for saying the same thing over and over and over again, and I just can't get myself to explain the behavior board again. I just did it tonight already, and I've said it thousands of times. So what happens is I can't hear myself anymore. That's why with the pool story, I've got the videos pinned to the top of the page here, because I can't hear myself when I say that story. I've told it so many hundreds or thousands of times that I literally have a hard time hearing myself. And I worry, am I even saying it right anymore? Yeah, I don't let people in my life. I only did it once. Huge mistake. They just wanted my audience. They started talking about their business. I was horrified. Horrified. I was new on here. I didn't know how to get rid of them either. I take this seriously. Like I'm here to serve you, not here to give a platform to other people to sell to you their stuff. Yeah, I was horrified. Anyway, okay, so let's get going on TikTok now. If you're new here, I've only got 4 people in here. What's going on? And yet it says like 30 have joined. Why does it say I've only got 4? That's weird. The number isn't matching the people coming in that I can see. Anyway, don't worry about that. Instagram's the one that everyone comes in one big clump. Like within 10 seconds, 150 people, bang. Facebook and TikTok, everyone comes in slowly. I don't know why that is. Anyway, okay. How much is your coaching session? Check that out. It's all in the description there. All of my stuff is in that one link. And it's I don't know how it's done on YouTube. I don't do my own social media stuff. And my daughter does all that. She's way better at that than I am. Anyway, my link goes to Podia or my website. But use the link there, because I've got a big following now. And there's all sorts of people out there scamming people out of money. claim they're using my videos, my name, very close to my website. They're not using bratbusters.com because they can't use it, but they're doing bratbuster.com or bratbusters.ca or something. My website is bratbusters.com, but just follow the link wherever I am right now. Follow the link, and that will be me. Don't get scammed out of money. You can't stop scammers; they're everywhere. Like you just close them down. You close down their account and they open up a new one. So it's just the way it is. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your parenting questions. TikTok is weird. It's only showing that I've got like one person on here right now, but I can see I've got a bunch more. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, sorry that I oh geez, am I on the wrong? Oh, I think I'm on the wrong account. Oh, sorry. I'm not on my business one. I've got to move over. Dummy me. I've done that before. That's why there should be like 100 people on here and there's only 3. Sorry, I'm going over to my business one now. Oops. Oh, stupid me. I've done that. I don't know how many times I've done that. Okay, come on. Let's move over. How do I get out of this? Okay. End now. I couldn't figure that out. And why are there only like 5 people? But it's weird. Sorry about that, dummy me. Okay, Bratbusters, good. I've probably done that 10 times now. The very first time I did a live, I did that. I went on my personal TikTok. I just talk about fitness, old lady fitness, because I'm an old lady and I'm really into fitness. Okay, sorry, I'm late because I was on my personal TikTok by accident and I couldn't figure out why no one was asking questions. So anyway, sorry about that. I've messed up. And Facebook, I can't get on Facebook. They blocked me out. They've asked for my driver's license. They've got it. I don't know why. They don't believe I am who I am. But my daughter still has access, so that's why I'm still able to post, or she posts for me on Facebook. But yeah, I don't know why she has access to my Facebook, but I don't. Weird. Okay. Is it good to walk away from tantrums for a 3-year-old? I ignore tantrums, but I never walk away from one. I stand right there and you look like you're filing your nails or something. Look like you're waiting for a bus. Don't go on your phone. Don't get into a conversation. You're just waiting for it to end. As soon as it ends, oh, you all done? Okay, you want to read a book? Don't discuss the tantrum before, during, or after. Just ignore it. But you don't walk away from it. That's dismissive. And I think it's kind of rude. So yeah, you just stand there and you just look like you're waiting for a bus. You want them to know that you know they're having the tantrum, but you're just waiting for it to finish. That's all you're doing, filing your nails or whatever you're doing. Looking out at the trees, the birds in the trees. So yeah. And check out, I do have a course on tantrums. It's called Tantrum Busting. And it's one of my mini courses. Look in the link above. Oh, geez. I was just on my personal TikTok. How embarrassing. I keep doing that. Anyway, I messed up. So what was I going to say? I forgot. Anyway, oh yeah, look in the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I have a big wait list right now, unfortunately, for coaching, but I will look at it. If you're in crisis, you'll be priority, or a past client, you'll be priority. I just took on 2 past clients, I think today or yesterday. Anyway, so yeah, you'll always take precedence. Well, crisis work is first. That's the life and death teenage stuff. Because not many people do that, and I don't blame them. It just happens to be my thing, my specialty. But yeah, not many people want to work with teenagers in crisis. It's a big responsibility. Believe me, I'm very careful. Okay, advice on a 3-year-old that only seems to want daddy, girl 3 years old. Let's say you wanted to give her a bath. I want daddy. I'd say, too bad you're stuck with me, and I'd just give her a bath. I wouldn't give that any power. She's trying to manipulate you, is my guess. Or you might have just said no to her and she's mad. So you have to say, too bad, you're stuck with me. And then dad has to stay out of it. They'll learn. Okay, this is better. Yeah, I'm getting more people coming on now. Yeah, I was on my personal TikTok. It's my old lady fitness channel. I don't know why I keep doing that. Should both parents be leaders? Jeff asked on YouTube. No, there's often one leader and one pleaser, but the pleaser has to defer to the leader. I'll tell you how that goes. I was the leader. My ex-husband was the pleaser. But if they ever acted out around him, he would say, do you want me to tell mom? And they would, of course, go, no. So they were good as gold. He leveraged me. And that works really well. I didn't want, I had a lot of experience with kids, so I kind of knew what I was doing. Why on earth would we not use the one who's stronger with that? And the one who isn't as experienced with this stuff, they leverage the stronger one. My mom and dad did that. My dad used to give in to all my demands. He just couldn't see any flaw in me. He was kind of blind when it came to me. My mom loved me just as much as he did, but she saw me for what I was, a normal kid. My dad just thought the sun shone out of my butt. So I remember her saying, don't spoil her. And so he said, oh, but she's just so lovely. And she said, yeah, she's all right, but don't spoil her. Anyway, so I remember this one day, I was probably about 3, and I was very secretive because I knew if mom heard, she would have said no. So I said to Daddy, can I please have? And it was something I knew mom wouldn't want me to have. And he said, sure, sweetie pie, you can have anything you want. And then he said, oh, let's go check with mom first. And I said, oh, never mind. So I knew. See, he was leveraging her leadership. So yeah, they only need one leader in the family, but the pleaser has to leverage the leader's power, right? And that also kind of puts them in the leadership role too. You know what I mean? You have to be on the same page, but you don't both have to have the same style. And we used to call, my ex-husband was called the treat master. So he was the one that would take them out for pancakes or donuts, all that, sugary stuff I didn't like them having. So that was his thing. And it worked out beautifully because I was happy that he was the treat master. He was happy being the treat master. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be the leader. So yeah, it worked out beautifully. So it can be a really good, we were very good partners with parenting. So it worked, but we had very different styles. And he was proud of the kids because they were so well behaved. And he was proud of that. He wanted to maintain that. He would never have undermined me because he was proud of the kids. They were nice. Oh, you're asking about your niece? I don't give aunt advice or uncle advice. No, I only give parenting advice. I never give advice to someone that isn't the parent, because what if the parent doesn't like it? I teach parenting. I don't teach aunting, teaching, principling, child psychology. Those are all a lot of my clients, but I only discuss their kids, not their profession. I couldn't do their jobs, and they struggle with parenting too. So even if someone has a child development degree, it makes them good in their job, but not necessarily good in parenting. I know that it surprises a lot of people, but I have a lot of child psychologists as clients. They struggle with parenting a lot like everyone else does, okay? But they're very good at their job. I couldn't do their job, but parenting is my thing. That's my role, is teaching that. So yeah. Saw my granddaughter today. She's all squishy and she's 5 months old. She's just got that she's just so cuddly. They're just gorgeous. She's got a couple little rolls on her legs, but not that big giant, the Michelin Man look. When they're she hasn't got that much, but she's got enough that she's just squishy and cuddly. And oh God, I could just eat her up. She's so cute. So cute. And I keep saying to her, I'm going to be your favorite person one day. And then no matter how much it costs me, if I have to buy her off, I will. Because I'm the grandmother, you're allowed to do that. It's the grandparent's privilege. Okay, so what if a 3-year-old has a tantrum and screaming extremely loud while people are visiting? Yeah, I'd take them in a separate room. So you got a house full of people and your kid starts having a tantrum. I would just take them in a separate room and then file my nails and wait for it to stop right beside them, just waiting. But yeah, there's no way I would lessen my parenting ability just out of embarrassment around other people. And plus, I was proud of this stuff. Like if that was happening, I would kind of be like, yeah, everyone watch and learn, because I was proud of how I was doing this. So I remember, I'll tell you the mall story with my son. He was 3 years old. It was his second to last tantrum. He didn't have a lot of them, but he did. He had them. And you're either born to have them or you're not. And he had them. I never had one. My daughter never had one. You're either born to have tantrums or you're not. Anyway, he had them. He was 3 years old. We're in a busy mall and it was very loud. So it wasn't disturbing anyone. So he just decided to have a tantrum. We were just heading out of the mall. We weren't even leaving anything he liked. We just did grocery shopping or something. So anyway, and I pulled him over to the side while he's because I didn't want him falling down these stairs. So I pulled him over to the side. Then I pulled out my nail file and I'm just standing there. And he wasn't disturbing anyone, but it was a bit of a scene, I think, because I was just standing there filing my nails. I think I was calling attention to myself because of the way I was reacting. So all these young moms kept coming up to me saying, oh, you should give him a hug, discuss his big feelings. I'm like, oh, good. I don't know what they're talking about. And I'm like, keep going, keep going. But all these other moms, grandparents and moms with older kids kept coming up to me and they were saying, good on you. You know what you're doing. Well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm just standing there filing my nails. Finally, he stops and I said, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go. And up he went, and he only had one more tantrum after that. He was learning. That is never going to work with me. And he just learned that. You never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There was no point whatsoever. None. Sometimes people argue with me with that one, and I love it when they do. I'll never change my mind. Okay. Are you taking new clients? I am right now, but it depends. You have to apply, and I've got a wait list. Okay. I am taking, actually, I'm going to be taking probably a couple more clients today. So, but I have to go, I read through and see, and I like to mix up the ages. So I don't want to say what age I'm taking right now, but I don't want to have all teenagers or all toddlers. I like to mix it up. But for the last couple of months, I had almost all my clients had teenage crisis work or just toddler stuff. There was hardly anything in between. I maybe only had 5 or 10 parents in between. It was bizarre. Like it was mostly teenage and toddler stuff. So, but that was on me. I didn't vet it very well. I like to mix it up so I get a wide variety of ages. Just for my own sanity, because teenage work, obviously, sometimes it's crisis. It can be literally life and death stuff. If I have several clients like that in one day, if it's crisis work, that is very tiring for me. I don't say much before thinking about it first, and that's not my style, but it is when it's crisis work. I really think before I talk, and that kind of is hard for me to do, so it takes a toll on me. I don't like thinking before I speak, but I do with crisis work because it's important. As much experience as I have, it's huge. It's big responsibility, right? Book recommendations. I've never read a book on kids or parenting. I'm all self-taught. Kids taught me all this. So I've never, ever read a book on kids or parenting. I'm sure I would disagree with a whole bunch of stuff in there. And kids were my teachers. So why would I read a book? Unless a kid read it, maybe wrote it. But no, even then, I'm 63 now. I started volunteering. It's been 52 years now I've been working with kids. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. And I mean, who does that? That's weird, isn't it? But even back then, the daycare ladies were asking me, how do you do that? They want to be with you, but they listen to you. I was a leader even back then. I didn't know how to articulate that. I didn't understand it. But yeah, I was fun, but I don't take any crap. And they learn that really, really young. And so yeah, kids taught me all this. I paid attention to them. I was figuring them out. Even now, sometimes I'll be coaching someone and they'll say they're very confused by what their 8-year-old said. And I'll say, just give me a minute. So here's the situation. They went like, and I'm literally trying to think like an 8-year-old, literally, because I studied kids for so many years. If I was 8 years old and I was in that position and I had the parents that deal, oh, I know why they did that. So it's like a puzzle. I got to put it all together. But I studied kids for so many years. I can pretty much always figure out what they're thinking, which makes them say and do what they do and say. So. What makes kids different from us, adults, is past the age of 4, they only do what works. Adults are different. We're stupid. We keep doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting different results. Kids don't do that. So if they're doing something repeatedly past the age of 4, like yelling, tantruming, hitting, it must be working. There has to be a payoff. There has to be. So think about it. You have to do some detective work. Figure out, why are they doing this? If they're past the age of 4 and they keep doing the same bad behavior repeatedly, there has to be a payoff because they only do what works. But us adults, I'm stupid. I do the same thing. I'm famous for this. Well, not famous for it, but in my own mind, I'm famous for this. I do the same thing repeatedly, expecting different results. Why didn't it work? It's never worked for the last 63 years. Why wouldn't it work now? It's stupid. I'm very habitual. Like if I don't start my day off at the gym, I'm lost. If I don't start my day off with fitness, the whole day is ruined. I don't even know who I am. I'm very habitual. Not everyone's like that, but I'm very much that way. Sometimes I'm at the gym and I think sometimes I'm so zoned out, I don't even know where I am. Like I literally will just go, oh. Hope I didn't have my finger in my ear or something. Like I can be so zoned out. But yeah, very habitual. Oh, I love this. Thank you for sharing this. This is IXIL. Okay. You made a video about finding something your teen loves and do it with them to connect. I'm hiking with my 15-year-old every day now. Thank you. Aw, that made my day. That made my day. Yeah, teenagers are my favorite. You find something that they love to do, show an interest in it, and try and enter into that on their terms and connect with them in their world. Oh, you did it. I mean, I just gave you the advice. You did it. Oh, that made my whole day. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit teary. That is so, so nice. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Okay, that made my whole day. Okay. Every time I listen to your live, I always end up learning something new. So do I, because I'm reading and I think, oh, I haven't heard of that before. I haven't heard of that. I'll tell you something funny. One of my clients, where did I put it? I put it somewhere else. Okay. He's 4.5 years old and the mom had set a timer for him to do something he had to do. So she put the timer on, I think for 15 minutes, left the room. She came back. She knew the timer would almost be up. Dawned her if there wasn't like 5 minutes left on it. He had fudged it. He was only 4.5, but he didn't do it in a big way. He was smart enough. He only did it by a few minutes. I thought, wow, that's good. So now we have no lying as his rule. And that is part of lying. It's cheating, changing things. Isn't that cute though? But he was smart enough, sly. He didn't change it by 12 minutes. He changed it by maybe 3 or 4. Wow. I'm going to tell you a funny story. This is kind of offbeat, but it just was a funny story. I did a TEDx years ago and it came up in there and I thought this was so cute. I just remembered it the other day. I told a client yesterday. Anyway, my son was, I think he was 3 and he had just seen a girl naked for the very first time that day. I had friends over and they were all in the backyard pool and I could see him looking at her. And my friend and I were laughing and we were saying, geez, look, he's checking her out. So anyway, so I thought, I wonder what he's going to say after today. And he was smart enough not to say anything in the moment, but he's checking her out, right? So later on, they're all gone and I'm making dinner. And he says, Mommy, boys and girls are different, right? And I was with all my might, I wanted to go like this. Yeah, but I just went, because I knew this was going to be good. Boys and girls are different, right? And he says, because boys have a bum in the back and a penis in the front. And I'm like, And then he says, and girls have a bum in the back and a tiny little bum in the front. I had a journal. I used to write all this stuff in. That I couldn't get to that journal fast enough to write that one down. Isn't that cute? Little tiny bum in the front. Yep. Okay. And I was really proud of myself that I didn't go crazy. Like I just wanted to laugh and everything, but I didn't want to embarrass him, right? Because I didn't want him to think this was horrible that he was checking. But oh my God, that was so cute. See why I love parenting so much? Kids are a blast. They're so funny. Another thing my son said, I like to change their names to keep their anonymity. Did I say that right? Wow, that was good. Anyway, we'll just call him Ryan, my son. It's not his name. But anyway, he had he came home from school. He was 8 years old. And he had this new kid arrive in school. And his name was John, spelled John. And he was from South Africa. And my son said, he pronounces his name wrong. It should be John, but he calls it Jean. And I said, well, sweetie, it's his name. He can pronounce it any way he wants. So my son, without skipping a beat, said, okay, my name is Ryan, but it's pronounced Braveheart. I thought, wow, that was clever. Kids are a blast. How could you not have fun? We didn't call him Braveheart after that, but that was pretty sly. Okay, that's enough stories. I just felt like telling stories. I love that 15-year-old. That got me on a high. The mom who said she's connected with her 15-year-old. She's going hiking every day. How great is that? Plus, you never leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. What I mean by that is if you're having fun with your teenager, don't use that opportunity to talk about heavy and deep stuff. They probably won't want to be with you if you do. So yeah, you can talk about heavy and deep stuff, but don't ruin the good times and the bonding times that you're having with them by trying to do it. So don't leverage the good times trying to talk about the bad stuff or the heavy stuff. Okay, be really careful with that. Because it's very tempting to do that. Oh my God, and my teenager's talking to me. We're actually having fun. We're on a hike. And then, okay, let's talk about you're dating this guy I don't like. You don't do that. Yeah. If they bring it up, you can listen, but be careful. What does it mean to be a leader for 3+ year old? Okay, check out my very first video here. I pinned it myself. I actually figured out how to do that. And because my daughter does on my social media usually. Anyway, I pinned it here and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. And it's the pool story. That absolutely explains the way I look at leadership. I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but then I focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. If all your like so many parents just are always trying to stop bad behavior. I'm trying to encourage the good stuff. I'm focused on the good kid. I'm always trying to bring out the good in them. Therefore, they like themselves when they're with me. They look up to me because I make them feel good. Therefore, they want to please me. That's leadership. It's done because you make them like themselves. When I used to work with teenagers, one of them said to me, delinquent teenagers, one of them said to me, I didn't like myself until I met you, Lisa. Wow, what a compliment. I make them feel good about themselves. Do I take any crap? No, none. I deal with everything, but I don't focus on it. I don't put my energy into the bad stuff. I put my energy into that good kid. And when I was working with those troubled teens, I use a lot of humor. I used to say, look, I got to find something to bond with. I said, I can't see anything to like. I need a magnifying glass. And they'd laugh. And I'd say, oh, you got a sense of humor. I can work with that. So yeah, it's not like I'm phony at all, but I'm always trying to connect, find a way to like them, find something I like about them, find something that we have in common or something that I can, connect and bond. I'm always trying to connect. It's not about correcting. It's about connecting. Yeah. There's this thing, connect first, correct second, connection, then correction. I don't use that term. It's a really cute term. The reason I don't is I'm not really correcting kids. I want them to correct themselves. I don't want to discipline children. I want them to be self-disciplined. Because when you raise children to be self-disciplined, they have more pride. Plus, when they're teenagers, then they're self-disciplined. You don't have to do anything. And then when they're adults, they have self-discipline because they've learned it when they were little, thanks to you. That's what leadership is. You're guiding them into making good choices. Because if they make a bad one, there's a consequence. And that's how they learn. We all learn through consequences. Life's like that. That's why we pay our taxes. We don't want to go to jail. That's why we pay our mortgage. We don't want to be foreclosed on. You see what I'm saying? We all learn. Life's full of consequences. The sooner you teach your children about this, the better. Then they'll just sort of ease into life. Adulthood's going to be a lot easier transition when you do this with your children. You teach them how to be self-disciplining. Teach them about being accountable. And leader leads by example. You show them how it's done by you being accountable. If you're not accountable with your kids, you're not a leader at all. You're a dictator. You're an authority. I teach leadership. How'd you get so smart? I'm really old. I'm 63. I've been studying kids for decades, for 52 years now. I always found kids fascinating because they are us. That's how we form. And I'm fascinated by them. I often think back to kids I knew growing up and how they grew up and why. And I thought about their home life. I've thought about a lot of stuff. I just find it fascinating. They are who we are. We were all children once. I just find it fascinating what forms us. And I think I really understand children, but I put a lot of decades into figuring this out. I put a lot of work into this. And I was volunteering. I never got paid for it. I just volunteered with kids, hospitals, detention centers, psych wards, schools. I was always in homes. I got clearance from the government to go into homes and support new moms. So I was always doing this. And then I just turned it into a business. If you can take your passion and turn it into a business, I mean, come on, it's hard work. I mean, it's really hard to turn something into a business. But anyway, so I put a lot of work into it. Blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of tears, especially because I specialize in teen crisis work. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I won't go into it, obviously. I've seen it all. So yeah, just I put a lot of work into it, a lot of decades, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm lousy at. So in life, that's just my thing. There's only 3 things I've ever taught in my life, and I'm very confident with: parenting, sewing, and fitness. Those are 3 things I could teach. Nothing else. That's it. So we all have something that we're passionate about. Anyway. You said my perspective is brilliant. I don't see it that way. I see it as intuitive. Like I see it because whenever I'm thinking about this, I'm always thinking about the kids. I'm never thinking about the parents. I'm always thinking about the kids, like what they need. So it's more just common sense to me. Like it's not smart. I think it's just intuition. Like I figured it out with kids. I just figured them out. I figured them out. I can remember being 2, and I can remember some really pivotal moments in my life. I remember my mom telling me I was adopted when I was 2. Pivotal moment in my life. I can remember 2 other things when I was 3. I won't say what they are, but there are 2 other things and they're not bad. They were just pivotal moments in my life. I can remember processing all that. I was always analyzing everything. I was 2 and I was always analyzing everything. So yeah, anyway. Oops, I got to go. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I know I was going on a little bit about that, but I'm on a bit of a high today because I saw my granddaughter today, and she's 5 months old and got as cute as a button, squishy and cuddly, and I could just gobble her up. Anyway, we went out for lunch today, and she just sat in her little seat for the whole time. 5 months old, who knew? We were just like, wow, that was easy. You kind of rush through a meal because you think they might start crying. She was just great. Might go out next time, she might scream, but today was a good day. It was great. But anyway, she's such a cutie. So yeah, I'm on a bit of a high. That was very exciting seeing my little granddaughter. So I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I have a big wait list right now for coaching, but I am taking on 2 new clients today again. I took on 2 yesterday. I'm taking on 2 more today, but I'm mixing up the ages. So I don't want to say what they are, but I need a variance of ages. So I know what ages I want right now. So I'll be picking and choosing from the wait list. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'll be back again. I'm not sure when. Facebook isn't working right now. They have shut me out. I gave them my driver's license and everything, and they still haven't got back to me. So they did ask for my driver's license. But my daughter does all my social media. She's got my Facebook, but I can't get access to it. So I can't do a live. Why would she have access and I don't? Never mind. I don't know. I don't understand. Anyway, happy parenting. Bye now.